Hey everybody, in today's video, we're going to be going through all of the features and settings on the Casio WS1500H-1AV watch. This is module 3518 from Casio. Now in this video, I'm going to go pretty quick and we're going to hit everything. If you want some slower videos, I've done some individual videos that go a little bit slower per item if you want to check those out instead. Just like most Casio watches, you've got a mode button on the bottom left. It will switch you through your different modes on the watch. I can simply press the mode. This is your basic timekeeping mode. Press it once, it will take you to your moon and fish mode. We'll look at that later. Press it another time, it'll take you to your stopwatch mode. Another time will take you to your countdown timer mode. Next will be your alarm mode. The last one will be your dual time mode, basically for you to look at time in a different time zone. And then you press it again, it'll take you back to your timekeeping mode. So the very first setting we're going to look at is our time and date setting. When you're on your main timekeeping mode, all you're going to do is you're going to press and hold the adjust button. It's the top left button on the watch. After a couple of seconds, you're going to see a blinking indicator here. That's going to be your second value. There's three buttons we're going to be using when we're doing our settings. Sometime you can use this top right button. Most of the time we're going to be using the bottom right button. It kind of depends on which setting we're on. And then the mode button down here on the bottom left is always going to take us to the next setting. The first setting we can adjust for our time and date is our seconds. You'll notice that mine are currently blinking. If I wanted to reset the seconds to 0, I'm going to press the bottom right button and that will reset my second value. Now I've got my seconds set. I'm going to simply press the mode button. That will take me to my next setting, which is my daylight savings time value. Again, I can use the bottom right button as a toggle. Is daylight savings on or off? You'll notice each time I switch it, my hour is adjusting appropriately for that value. Press the mode button another time, it will take me to my hour value. Now we're seeing a PM indicator here because my time format is in 12-hour format. It's going to follow whatever time format you've got. We'll look at time format later on, but you might be seeing 24-hour format if that's your time value. Now we can use either of the two buttons on the right hand side. The top button will move my values down. The bottom button will move my values up to adjust my hour. You can always press and hold as well to go quicker. Set your hour. Once you've got your hour set correctly, you're going to press the mode button. It'll take you to the next setting, which is your minutes. You're going to use the exact same thing as we did with the hours to adjust your minutes. Once you've got your minutes set correctly, press the mode button another time. It'll take you to your year. Again, we can use the two buttons on the right-hand side to adjust our year. Press the mode button once we're done with that. It's going to take us to our month value. And again, we can use either of the two buttons on the right-hand side to adjust our month. Press mode again. It will take us to our day of the month. If I press the mode button one more time, all it does is take me back to the beginning, which is my second value. We've successfully set our time and date, but I could press mode and I could go back to any of those settings. Let's say I set my time wrong or something. It'll just keep cycling you through here. We've technically finished setting our time and date. All we're going to do is press the adjust button 2 times. First time it's going to take you to your home city information. We're not going to do anything with that just yet. The second time we'll save your changes, kick you back out, and now we've successfully set our time and date. The next setting we're going to be looking at is our home city information values. And how do we set that? You want to make sure this is set correctly because these values are going to have a direct impact on your moon phase value and your fish time value. You're going to need a couple pieces of information that you can get by simply Googling your location. The first is going to be your UTC differential, which is basically your time differential from the UTC time location. And then the second piece of information is just going to be your latitude. Your longitude value, not your latitude value. You don't need latitude at all on this watch. We're going to start from our main timekeeping mode to press and hold the top left button. Just like we did before, it takes us into our time setting, but this time we're simply going to press the adjust button one time and it will take us to our home city information. The very first setting that it's looking for is our UTC differential. Just like we did before, we can use the two buttons on the right-hand side for most of these settings. To set your UTC differential, you're going to simply either use the top button to go down or the bottom button to go up. You can also press and hold Once you've got your UTC differential set correctly, you're going to press the mode button. The next thing it's going to take you to is your longitude value. I can again use either of the two buttons on the right hand side. I actually need to set mine, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Once I've got my longitude value set correctly, I can press the mode button and it will take me to my east-west indicator. This is a setting where the top button does nothing for you. You're going to have to use the bottom right button to toggle it. It's either west or it's east. Just like with the timekeeping setting, if I press the mode button again, it just takes me back through the same cycle. So if I needed to go back to one of those settings, I could do it. Once I've got my home city information set correctly, I can simply press the adjust button one time and we've successfully adjusted our home city information. Let's go ahead and look at the fish and moon mode. Now, you don't have to go into this mode to see your fish and moon information. From your main timekeeping, you can always see what's the current moon phase and what's my current fishing like. That's going to be based on today's date that we just set, the time, and my home city information. But I can press the mode button, it's the bottom left button, one time. That will take me into the fish and moon mode. Now, it's a little bit clunky when you get in here. Once you get used to it, it's pretty easy. You've got a middle indicator here that's showing you whether you're in the fish setting or the moon setting. If you're in the fish setting, you can basically adjust per hour for the given date what's the fishing like. So at 6 a.m. this morning, this was my fishing value. I'm going to just be using the bottom right button. The top button does not work here. If you press it, it just turns on your backlight. Bottom right button will progress this, and you'll notice as I'm pressing it, this fishing value up here is changing. So at 8 a.m. this morning was pretty good fishing, and then I could go through, maybe I want to get off work today and go fishing. I want to see what's the fishing going to be like. Yeah, it's not going to be very good till about 8 o'clock tonight. That's what we can see there. While I'm in this mode, if I press the top left button, it'll switch me. It'll toggle me to whatever mode I wasn't on. So I was on fishing before, and now I'm looking at the moon information. Moon's going to be a little bit different because you don't progress per hour, you go forward by day. So here's my current moon phase, my current moon age for the given day. I press the bottom right button, it will move me forward. So you might be wondering, well, how do I check fishing for a future day? The easiest way is to get on the moon mode. Let's say we want to go fishing on Halloween, October 31st. This is going to be my moon information for Halloween. And then if I press the top left button, now I can see what's going to be the fishing like on Halloween because I moved forward using the date value on the moon. And now I can go through and look and see how's the fishing going to be on that day. So you kind of have to use the moon mode to get to the day. And then if you want to see a certain time value, you would use your fishing mode. The other thing you can do is while you're in this mode, you can press and hold the top left button and it will take you to a blinking indicator that's going to be your year. So I could go forward, maybe I'm going to go, I don't know, on a vacation in 2030. I can press the mode button, I can adjust the date. Let's say we're going to go on Christmas. I can use the top value here because I'm in a settings mode. So on Christmas Day in 2030, I can simply press adjust and we can see what's the moon information going to be like on that day and what's the fishing going to be like on that day. So as opposed to going day by day like we did before, you can specify an individual day and year. You can go all the way up until December 31st of 2099 and see what the moon and fish information is going to be like. You could also go back in the past. So while we can't do that with the regular mode, I can press and hold here. And if you wanted to go see, hey, what was the moon like back on, I don't know, Christmas Day of 2015? There you go. There's your moon information, and here's what the fishing was like. Pretty simple stuff. Then once you're done with the fishing mode, you can simply press the mode button. Unlike your Casio G-Shock or your more expensive watches, you can't press and hold. You have to actually press it a few times to get back to your main timekeeping mode. There's a basic stopwatch mode on this watch. To get to that, we're going to press the mode button 2 times, and that will take us to a mode that has ST at the bottom. That is our stopwatch. We're going to simply press the bottom right button. If you want to start your stopwatch, you'll notice this little indicator up here letting you know that your stopwatch is running. Press it again, it will pause your stopwatch. Press it another time, it will resume. And then while it is paused or stopped, if you press the top left button, that will reset it. The stopwatch will run if you go to a different mode. It will run for up to 24 hours and then it will reset back to 0. But I'm going to a different mode here. My stopwatch is still running in the background. Unlike other watches, you don't really have an indicator showing you that your stopwatch is running. So you would just have to go back to that mode to see that it's running. If you wanted to take a split time while your stopwatch is running, you can simply press the top left button. There's your split value. Now, if I went to a different mode now, it would reset my split value and just go back to regular stopwatch. But if I wanted to release my split, I could do that again manually by pressing the top left button. I'm gonna go ahead and stop and reset it. I'm gonna show you if you wanted to time 2 different runners, you're a coach, you got 2 runners that are running. You're gonna start your stopwatch when they take off. Both runners are running. When your first runner finishes, you're gonna press the top left button, and there's your time of your first runner. When your second runner finishes, you're gonna press the bottom right button. That stops the stopwatch. There's my first runner. Press the top left button. There's the time of my second runner. And now I'm gonna press the top left button again to reset it back to 0. Pretty simple, basic stopwatch functionality. And then again, when you're done, you simply press the mode button to get out of it, get back to your main timekeeping mode. This watch has a countdown timer of up to 24 hours. To get to your timer mode, you can press the mode button 3 times. You're going to end up on a mode that looks like this. It has TR at the bottom, has your current time at the bottom as well. All zeros by default is what it comes with, and that is 24 hours. To simply start your timer, you can press the bottom right button and you can see that the countdown timer has begun running. Whenever it gets to 0, it will sound for 10 seconds. I mentioned that you have an auto repeat option. If you wanted to, you could set the timer to where when it gets to 0, it automatically starts the timer over again. If you do that, it will still beep for 10 seconds, but the timer will have automatically started once it got to 0. You can leave the timer running in the background. You don't have to stay in the timer mode, just like your stopwatch mode. I'm in my regular timekeeping mode. If I go back to timer, it's still back there running. When I want to stop it, I can press the bottom right button. I can start it again by pressing the bottom right button. This acts as basically a pause and a stop. While it is stopped, if I press the top left button, it will reset it back to the default value, which is currently 24 hours for me. So what if you want to change that default value while you're on timer mode? We're going to press and hold the top left button. After a couple of seconds, you will see a blinking indicator. That's going to be your hour value. I could use either of the 2 buttons on the right-hand side to adjust that, or if I want to just leave it at 0, I can press the mode button to go to my next setting. Next setting is going to be your minutes. So we could set a 1-minute timer by default. If I press mode again, it will take me to the repeat functionality. Do I want it to automatically repeat on or off? I'm going to just turn it on just so you can see what it looks like. If I press mode again, it just takes me right back to the hour. Those are your settings for your timer. Once you've got it set correctly, simply going to press the top left button, and now we've got a 1-minute default timer, and you can see this little indicator here lets us know that the repeat functionality is on. So now, if I start my timer, and I stop it, and I reset like before, instead of it going to 24 hours, it's going to 1 minute because that's what we have the default set to. Pretty simple. As always, once you're done, press the mode button a few times, get out of your timer mode. So as the watch face indicates, you have 3 independent alarms you can set on this watch, and it's kind of cool because you can configure each alarm to be totally different. One of the alarms also has a snooze function option, which basically means the alarm will continue to repeat every 5 minutes until you turn off that snooze function. As far as turning it off, you can either go into the settings for alarm number 1, or you can just go back to your main timekeeping mode while that snooze alarm is going off, and that will stop the snooze function. So let's go ahead and let's look at it. At a glance, we can see if any of our alarms are turned on, as well as our hourly chime. You can see down here, it is showing that I have an alarm turned on. If it was a snooze alarm, we would see an indicator to the left of that. And if it was the hourly signal, we would see an indicator to the right. We will see that here in a second. We're gonna press the mode button 4 times. That will take us to our alarm screen, and it's basically gonna look something like this. It's going to drop you in. It's going to have an indicator over here that shows you what alarm value you're on. My alarm value is number 1. It's set for 12 a.m. And then this indicator down here tells me how it's set. Currently it is set as a daily alarm. There's no month, there's no date selected. So if I turn this alarm on, it's going to go off every day at 12 a.m. If I simply wanted to turn it on while I'm on that given alarm, I can simply press the top left button. You'll notice this indicator now is showing that alarm number 1 is on. Press it again, it shows that it's now a snooze alarm. Press it another time, it turns it off completely. So alarm number 1, you have the option to make it a snooze alarm. I'm gonna press the bottom right button. That takes me to alarm number 2. This is the alarm that I currently have on. That's what we saw on the main timekeeping screen. I can simply press the top left button to turn it off, turn it on, but you'll notice there's no snooze option on alarm number 2. You're going to see the exact same thing for alarm number 3. It's there for you to use, but the only one that you can make snooze is alarm number 1. If I press the bottom right button again, it takes me to this screen. That is the hourly signal. This one's pretty simple. It's simply on or it's off. There's no settings for your hourly signal. So let's go ahead and let's go to any of these alarms. Let's go to alarm number 2 just for kick's sake. You don't have to start with alarm number 1. What if we wanted to change the values of the alarm? While we're on that given alarm, we're going to press and hold the top left button. It's going to turn the alarm on, and then you're going to see a blinking indicator that's going to be your hour value. Just like with our other settings, we can use the top button or the bottom right button, and we can adjust our hour value. So once you've got your hour set, press the mode button. It'll take you to your minutes. Again, we could use either of the 2 buttons on the right to adjust our minutes. Press mode again, it's going to take you to a month value. So this gets a little bit tricky. If you want it to be a daily alarm, leave this alone. But you could set it to where every January, on whatever day, this alarm will repeat. Or I could just set it to where it repeats every day in the month of January. And you could choose any month you want. I'm just saying January because that's what I was on. So if you just wanted a daily alarm in the month of January, you could do it. If you just wanted an alarm every New Year's Eve, you could do that as well. To do that, you would set, or let's say New Year's Day, you would set January, and then for your date, you would set 1st. Now you've got an alarm at 6:05 every January 1st, this alarm will go off. So that's kind of what that feature does. If you didn't want to set a month, you could do that. You could leave the month blank and you could just have the 1st, and you would have an alarm on the 1st of every month. Maybe you want an alarm to remind you that it's payday. You could do that. Press mode again, it basically just takes you right back to those settings. So if you wanted to change something, you could go and you could change it. So the way I have it now, I've got an alarm at 6:05 every morning, and it's going to go off every day. Once I'm done, I can press the top left button and we've confirmed my changes. Again, it turned that alarm on by default, so if I wanted to turn it off, I would press that. But that's how you adjust your time. If I go to a different alarm, we haven't done anything with the other alarms. They're all set to 12 a.m., but if I wanted to adjust one of those, we would do the exact same thing. While I'm on that alarm, press it, adjust my hour value, adjust my minute value, choose if I want it to repeat monthly or on a given date. That's it. Once you've got it set, press the top left button. So that's pretty easy. I'm gonna go ahead and just show you real quick. I'm gonna turn this alarm on, and then let's go ahead and we'll turn on the hourly chime as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and get out of this mode, get back to main timekeeping, and you can see this is what it looks like when you have at least one alarm turned on, and we know that's alarm number 1 because it's the snooze alarm, and we have our hourly signal turned on. You've got this indicator here. They did a really good job with that on this watch, to where at a glance I can see what alarms I've got set. If you want to test or listen to the alarm on this watch, all you have to do is get to the alarm mode, and then while you're in it, doesn't matter which alarm you're on, you can simply press and hold the bottom right button. You'll hear the alarm sound. Once you let go, it'll stop. This watch has what's called the dual time mode, and what that does is it lets you track a different time zone's time value as well as looking at your time value at the same time. So let's take note, it's 12:20 in my current home city time. If I press the mode button 5 times, it will take me to the dual time mode. Basically what the dual time mode is going to do is at the bottom it's showing me my current time value, and then in the middle it's showing me my dual time value. It's not like your Casio G-Shocks or your other watches that have a world time. You don't have to set any home city information for your dual time. It's just a manual timekeeping. So if I wanted to track the time in New York, for example, I would have to know what time is it currently in New York, and I would have to set that accordingly. When you want to set it, you're going to simply press and hold the top left button while you're in this mode. It'll take you into your settings. The very first setting that you are going to see is your daylight savings time value. I can press the bottom right button to toggle that. Now this DST value is not for your current time, it's for your dual time. So it's totally independent of the dual time. I'll show you that here in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off for my dual time. Once you've got that set correctly, press the mode button. It'll take you to the second setting, which is going to be your hour value. Again, just like with our regular timekeeping, you can use either of the two buttons on the right hand side to adjust that. Press mode another time, it'll take you to your minutes, and again, you could use either of the two buttons on the right to adjust your minutes. You press mode again, it's just going to take you right back to your daylight savings time value. Once you've got it set correctly, we're going to press the adjust button. Now remember, we've got DST off for our dual time. So now we've adjusted our dual time value in the middle. Our current time value has not changed at all. You'll notice that we don't see the DST indicator here because we turned off daylight savings time. I'm gonna press the mode button one time, and I'm gonna go back to my main timekeeping mode. In my main timekeeping mode, I have daylight savings time turned on. So that's just verification to show you that those two have nothing to do with each other. But anyway, that's what the dual time mode does for you. Lets you look at two different time zones. The one thing I will mention is on some of your more expensive Casio watches, you can flip-flop and make your current time your dual time and your dual time your current time. You cannot do that on this watch. If you wanted to do that, you would have to manually go change each one, change your home time to your dual time, change your dual time to your home time. There's not a toggle button to let you flip that. When you press various buttons on this watch, you will hear a beeping noise. That noise is called your button tones. I'm going to show you how to turn it off. Now, if we turn this off, it has no impact on your countdown timer, your alarm, your hourly signal. All it controls is if I'm pressing any buttons, I should not hear a beeping noise. You can tell at a glance whether or not you have this on or off, because if it is off, you will have a little music note icon showing here. I currently have it on. We know that because we just heard it by pressing it. All we're going to do is, as long as we're not in a setting on any of the modes, we can press and hold the mode button, bottom left button. After a couple of seconds, you're going to see this little icon come on your screen, and now I'm pressing the same button. We're not hearing anything. If you want to turn it back on, we're going to do the exact same thing. While this is on, press and hold. And now our button tones are back on. If you want to change your time display format on this watch, it's really simple. All you have to do is be in your timekeeping mode. While you're in timekeeping, if you press the bottom right button, it will toggle your time display. Now I'm in 24-hour format. Now I'm in 12-hour format. All right, so the last thing to look at is the backlight. You have an independent button for the light. It's this top right button. There is a setting you can adjust on the light, just like most Casio watches. You can set the backlight duration for 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds. I've got it set to 3 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the backlight, and then I will show you this setting. So let me turn off my overhead lights, and hopefully, let's see if I can get my camera to zoom a little bit, or focus a little bit better. There we go. Backlight is nice and bright. You can see everything. The subdials are pretty small, but you can definitely read the time and date when the backlight is illuminated. All right, so that's the backlight. Let's look at the setting. What we're going to do is we're going to start by pressing and holding the top left button while we're in timekeeping mode. When you get into the setting, you're going to see down here at the bottom, there's a LT value, and then there's 3 lines. Those 3 lines indicate that you're set for 3 seconds. If you press the light button, you can adjust it. 1.5, or 3 seconds? What do you want it on? Once you've got it set the way you want, you're simply going to press the adjust button 2 times, top left button 2 times. We've successfully adjusted it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my overhead now, and I'll show you what the 1.5 second duration looks like. Much quicker. It's going to use less battery life, but it's a whole lot quicker. I know a lot of people like the 3 second one. I tend to just like the 1.5 second. I'm just usually trying to get a quick look at my time. The negative about this watch is you don't have the auto illumination feature, so you can't set it to where when you tilt your wrist towards you, the backlight turns on automatically. You always have to use the top right button. Anyway, that's a look at the backlight. That concludes all of the features of this watch. If the video helped, thumbs up are really appreciated. If you like videos about watches, I hope you'll think about subscribing to the channel. Enjoy your Casio. Thanks for watching.